All right, thanks for your patience. So I suggest we get started. We have about 8 people in this call. So I hope you can all see the slide showing the GDC Innovation Challenge. So thanks a lot for registering for this webinar. So we're quite excited because this is the first of a series of webinars that we'll be doing on the innovation pilots that the GDC is supporting. And today we'll be kicking off with SolarAid, talking about their energy finance cooperative model that they will be piloting together with the GDC. So my name is Gerben Jansen, and I'm a team member of the Global Distributors Collective, and I'm managing the Innovation Challenge. So I'll just be kicking off this webinar with a few intro slides on what this is all about and why we launched this webinar. Together with me, I have Yvonne, who sits at our office in Nairobi, and she's so kind to help facilitate all the questions that might come in so we can make sure that all your questions get answered. Before we start, I just want to mention that this webinar will be recorded because we're aware that not everyone is able to join the webinar, and we'll share the recording with other GDC members after this call. So just for your consent. And then, yeah, let's get started. So a little bit of background about the GDC Innovation Challenge. So it's one of the activities that we wanted to launch as the GDC because we really felt that there's a lot of innovation potential within our community, specifically with you as last mile distributors. I mean, it's not easy running a last mile distribution business, so you're the ones most aware of what the pressing problems are, but also the solutions that might be able to help you solve these problems. And then what we want to do as the GDC is to hear from you what solutions you want to implement, for which you need additional support. So the GDC Innovation Challenge provides small grants as well as technical support to pilot these IDs, with the purpose to not only make this ID work for the applicants, but also for the wider GDC community, as we will try and support other GDC members to replicate this ID. So yeah, this is also where this webinar comes from. So it's actually the first webinar that will launch within this journey that we just started with the first 2 innovations that we'll be supporting. So the innovation we'll be talking about today is one of them, and tomorrow we'll have a webinar with Vida Sassa about the scaling tool for last mile distributors that they're developing in collaboration with the GDC. And this whole webinar is really about informing you about what this innovation entails, but also how you could get involved. So what we'll do in this 1 hour that we have is give you an introduction to the innovation, talk a little bit about the opportunity for you, so how it could also solve problems that you might face. And then we'll talk about how you could get involved, possibly contributing to the design of this innovation and the testing of the innovation. So sharing what kind of evidence you'd be looking for in order to consider replication of this innovation for yourself. And again, we hope to take enough time to answer questions that you might have. So I want to ask you to leave all your questions in the Zoom chat window, and we'll take the questions from there. We might not be able to answer all questions during this webinar. If not, we'll try and get them answered by email after the webinar. So please drop your questions in the webinar as of now. An intro to the innovation from our end. So of course, I'd like to ask SolarAid to present the ID themselves, since it was them that brought this ID forward, and they became one of the 5 finalists that we had in this innovation challenge round, and the GDC community considered this as one of the most relevant and exciting innovations to be piloted. So that's why we're also extremely happy as the GDC to support SolarAid in piloting this ID and seeing how we could disseminate the results of this pilot to help you replicate it. But in a nutshell, I mean, what we appreciated about this ID is how it is a first of its kind credit facility specifically for last mile distributors of off-grid lighting solutions in Malawi. That fills the gap that banks and MFIs are currently not filling. And since it's so specific to last mile distribution of solar, the credit facility is really tailored to best supporting entrepreneurs to not only access working capital that they need for their business, but to also enjoy other business support services, including training and access to software that it might use. I mean, in the theory of change that we have co-designed with SolarAid, I mean, in the end, what we'd like to see is how this credit facility allows these entrepreneurs to grow their business, so to extend the reach of their own sales agent networks to sell more of these off-grid lighting products. And then again, I mean, why we're excited about this model is because it does tackle one of the most pressing problems that we have seen among our members, which is access to working capital for entrepreneurs selling these products. So we hope that this is a model that inspires others to either join or to replicate this in other geographies for their own purposes. But again, I mean, probably SolarAid will have their own introduction. So this is a good time to hand over to the people from SolarAid that we have on the line. And I think it's Brave that will take the lead in presenting on behalf of SolarAid. So I'll be unmuting Brave right now, so you can take it from there. Brave, are you there?
Yes, I am. Thank you so much, Kevin, for the introductions.
Great. Over to you.
Thank you. First of all, I'd like to say a big thank you to all the GDC members for selecting this idea and giving it an opportunity to get tested on the ground. It's always important, I think, to give a bit of a background to why we came up with this idea here in Malawi. What was the motivating factor? As Kevin mentioned earlier on, one of the key challenges that our entrepreneurs or agents are facing or have been facing over time that have been in operation is access to finance, which is tailor-made to help them build sustainable and profitable businesses while operating in rural communities, which are very difficult to reach. So Sunny Money developed a business model, which we call super agent business model, where we sell a business idea to entrepreneurs who have a bit of money to invest in that business, and through our expertise that we've gathered over time operating in this country, we help them to set up and implement the business model in the specific district. And finance has always been a challenge, of course, to help them to scale up their businesses. And there has also been some kind of efforts from different organizations to do such type of things, like setting up entrepreneurs to sell products in rural communities, but they don't have the capacity. And when that NGO leaves, everything collapses. So what we wanted is to have something which is more sustainable, with very strong, solid foundation, that being the entrepreneurs themselves being the core of the whole innovation that is providing financing. So that's why FEBCO was set up specifically to provide low-cost loans which are tailor-made to suit their business model operating in remote areas. And we also
Sorry,
get...
sorry to interrupt, but I forgot to say that you will need to tell me when I need to go to the next slide, yeah? So
yes,
I'm still
okay, I
looking
will
at
do
your
that.
first slide, yeah.
All right.
Please go ahead.
Yeah, so we opted to go for SACCO. I think there are different options how we could run the financing component, but we opted for SACCO because it gives autonomy to the entrepreneurs themselves to make key decisions like the interest rates, securities of the loans, the payment plan of the loans, and the scalability of the loans. Like if the members themselves are at the center of making these key decisions and also aligning these decisions with the market environment where they are operating their businesses, it will give us a good chance of success and probably to be sustainable as well. That's why we opted to set up FEBCO to operate as SACCO. And if it goes well, then probably we might look into scaling it up to a proper financial institution. But at the moment, it will start operating as SACCO, where members of this SACCO are the individuals or entrepreneurs operating energy business in rural communities. You can go to the next slide. Yeah, so Sunny Money is a social enterprise which is owned by SolarAid, and we exist to bring universal energy access in Malawi. And we achieve this through seeding energy businesses operating in rural communities. And these are the communities where Sunny Money has been working for the past 10 years. So I've got a very strong understanding of what it takes to operate in these communities. And now we're simply handing over our knowledge and expertise to help in seeding businesses owned by the locals. You can go to the next one. Thank you. Yeah, so as I said earlier on, the motivating factor to set up all these, the key challenges that we have been facing ourselves as Sunny Money over the past 10 years in selling these solar lights in rural communities. One of the big challenges, as already mentioned, is financing. That's access to affordable and flexible financing. We visited different micro finances in Malawi, including like stable banks, and shared with them our vision and how we see financing being a key element to make different efforts in selling solar in rural communities possible. But these institutions are so rigid, they have their own system of operation, and renewable energy at the moment, it's still regarded as one of the high-risk businesses to invest in. And most of these microfinances are so reluctant to alter the way they're operating to give a room and test some of these new business models around renewable energy. And because of that rigidity, that's why we want to take a step now, a strong step, and we thought we can't wait for the traditional systems to change. We have to take a step ourselves. That's why I want to set up FEBCO to specifically focus on providing flexible loans to small and medium scale enterprises. Also, another challenge that we've been facing as Sunny Money is more to do with the logistics to fit the whole value chain. And Malawi being a landlocked country, and also the areas where we're operating being more in rural communities where it's very difficult to manage distribution of products, and the cost of operating in these communities are so high. That's why we thought if we bring in FEBCO, that is providing access to financing for the smaller businesses, it will help the cash flow of Sunny Money. That is being able to import, huge quantities, thereby increasing the bargaining power. And these purchases will be done on behalf of the energy enterprises operating across the country. And it will give our agents more of a strong bargaining power to the suppliers, thereby fighting for better terms so that the products land more affordably, and also translate that into our pricing structure so that we are able to offer our customers products at low cost. That is making them more affordable. And by sharing operation expenses in Sunny Money and the agent's business, which is established in that community, it will help to reduce the operation expenses, thereby making the businesses for our agents more profitable and more sustainable. So it's kind of really helping a lot to cover the cost incurred along the value chain that Sunny Money we're experiencing ourselves at the moment. So that's one of the key motivating factors why we went for this model. And obviously, the last one is to make our products more affordable by cutting operational expenses through sharing our expenses with the agent businesses, but at the same time, trying to offer our clients more affordable prices. Next slide. Thank you. So that's just a summary of what we want to achieve at the end of this program. So it's to develop a sustainable growth of the energy businesses, which are specifically looking at addressing universal energy access challenges in rural communities. And we'll achieve that through those key three elements: low cost of energy business loans, volume imports, that's enjoying on the economies of scale, and scaling the and replicating the FEBCO energy business to be like the catalyst of setting up and seeding successful and sustainable energy business in rural communities. So those are the key elements that we want to achieve after implementing FEBCO. Can I move on? Thank you. Yeah, so the innovation is really developing a tailor-made financing energy business cooperative that is operating as SACCO to be the vehicle of providing financing for small and medium-scale energy enterprises, and specifically designed to operate in rural communities. And this vehicle must be democratically managed by the entrepreneurs themselves. We want them to have the autonomy to take leading role in setting up and implementation of FEBCO rather than Sunny Money itself. So all what Sunny Money is doing at the moment is just to offer the expertise and support to the agents, and also forming agreements with other organizations that can come in to help in setting up, like the GDC and other potential organizations or individuals who might be interested to be part of FEBCO. It's just to manage that part. But at the end of the day, the agents themselves, the entrepreneurs themselves, are the ones to take a leading role in management of FEBCO. We can move on. Thank you. So just in summary, what FEBCO wants to achieve at the end of the day is to provide low-cost loans to help in scaling up the agent businesses. Also, consolidation of orders for bulk imports to enjoy the economies of scale. Reducing cost of operations, which will result into affordability to end users. And stabilizing Sunny Money's cash flow so that we offer more efficient logistical support to the super agents to achieve the scalability, the affordability and access in rural communities. Next slide, please. Thank you. Yeah, so opportunities for other GDC members. So we're looking at we're looking at it from two angles. One is adoption of the model. Once it's fully tested and proven that it works, then Sunny Money will share with other GDC members. And secondly is also opening up the platform to test other innovative ideas that can add value to the operation of the circle. For example, we are in discussion with Envision to use their mobile app as one way of tracking all the finances of the agent businesses in real time in the field, and that will really help to make our operations more efficient. And if there are more GDC members who are developing or have other ideas or other projects that can be aligned with FEBCO, we're very much open to pilot different things that can add efficiency on the operations of FEBCO. Next slide. Yeah, and relevance and support. Obviously, our vision is to develop a model that tackles common challenges that last mile distributors are facing, so that it can easily be replicated in other communities or other countries. So that's one area we think it would be more relevant for other GDC members to get close and support us, probably follow what we are doing, because we believe the challenges we're facing in Malawi are pretty much similar challenges that other last mile distributors are also facing. And to achieve this, we would also need support from other members. One of it is sharing of the business management skills, because most of the agents that we're working with, or the entrepreneurs we're working with, they're still at a starting phase of their businesses. They're very small and they need a lot of business management skills to help in the setup of their businesses, especially also managing growth, because we've had some examples where their business have performed so well to such a point that it becomes very difficult for them to manage growth. And Sunny Money, we have got limited resources in terms of human capacity to take a leading role in helping these entrepreneurs to manage growth. So that's one area that we're very interested to hear from other GDC members, if there are any doing some entrepreneurial trainings, business management trainings, to come in and really stabilize the business systems of our entrepreneurs. So that's area where we can, we need support from other members. But also on the operational systems, as I said, we are in discussion with Envision. What we want is to have, to optimize our systems and the processes so that the management of the loans, as well as the business management systems, are more efficient, to make sure that at the end of the day, we are able to sell more products at the lowest cost possible through adoption of new technologies or systems that can optimize all the processes of setting up and managing FEBCO. Next slide. Yeah, so that's it from me, and I think now it's time for questions and answers. Thank you so much.
Thanks a lot, Brave, for your presentation. I'm not sure if I'm aware that Jamie is also on the line. Jamie, do you have anything to add, or should we go straight into the questions?
I guess I could just add a couple of things. Brave covered. Oh, Brave, could you just mute yourself? Is that okay?
Okay. Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Perfect. Thank you. So just a couple of things. Brave covered everything. Absolutely fantastic. Just one of the key points from me is, in terms of the why we're doing this is, you know, we have the traditional banking system, we have microfinance institutions, you know, which took access to finance one step further than traditional banking, which is, you know, access to affordable finance. But for our experiences in Malawi and Zambia, you know, also Kenya, Tanzania, Uganda before that, it's actually still not the solution that is suitable for the entrepreneurs we work with. And I assume other GDC members have had similar experiences, whether that's through, you know, how cumbersome the actual process is, down to the interest rates. You know, you have a national interest rate in Malawi of, you know, annually around 40%. Through this model, we're able to cut that in half to roughly 20%, which, you know, that's a massive improvement, and our agents very much want to be involved in that rather than having to try and access finance in that way. And the other key part to it is it's, and as Brave covered, but just to emphasize, is that it is controlled by the agents. It's you know, it's been designed with the Sunny Money Malawi team, with the super agents, for the super agents, and it will be run by the super agents. So this is no longer, say, you know, an international organization or MFI going in to try and help, which is still fantastic. This is a local solution for local entrepreneurs, which will grow organically from there. So that, I think they're the two key points I just wanted to emphasize that Brave covered already.
Thanks, Jamie. And thanks again, Brave, for the great presentation. So I haven't seen any questions showing up in the chat, but maybe I need to remind people about that this is the time to ask any questions you might have to better understand this model, the relevance for yourself, or also, I mean, we want to give you the opportunity to share suggestions to the SolarAid team on what they should look at, maybe other organizations they could learn from in other countries. So I'll just give everyone a chance to drop their questions in the chat window. And while we're waiting for questions to come, maybe I should start with a question. Just a general question, Brave and Jamie, about, and Brave, I'll unmute you again, about timeline. So maybe it's good for everyone to understand where you're currently at, setting up the SACO, the FEBCO, and what the whole timeline is of you piloting this model and getting to a point in which you have enough evidence about if this works or not, if it can be scaled up.
Thank you so much. So we're looking at piloting this program for 12 months. That's starting from September now. Like for 18 months in total, starting from September. But the actual period when we issue loans will be 12 months. So now until December, we are in the preparation phase where we are working hand in hand with MUSCO. MUSCO is the mother body of all the SACCOs in Malawi. So we are working with them in setting up all the policies of managing FEBCO, also collecting contributions from the super agents themselves. So each one of them is making contributions of about £250 as their membership. But that one also add into the capital of FEBCO. So between now and December, that's what we'll be doing, plus recruitment of the team. We'll be managing FEBCO with full support from Sunny Money team for a start. Election of the board and training of the board will also be done between now and then. Setting up of all the processes to make sure that loans are fully managed, but also all the businesses are fully established in terms of the systems, and they pass the due diligence to qualify to get loans from FEBCO. So all these activities are being done now and December. And January, that's when we will start offering loans. first loan will issue in January to all the agents, and all these loans will be tied to a very specific business model for each agent or each entrepreneur that will be getting loans. So to make sure that we maximize chances of loan repayment, also reduce the default rates, and all the products that we'll be selling will be mostly on pay-as-you-go. So we need to make sure that we do all this analysis of the clients or consumers, the payment plans and all that. So that's why we've given ourselves enough time to prepare well before we start issuing loans. So in short, I'd say preparation phase is between now and end of December, and January, starting issuing loans for a period of 12 months.
Thanks a lot, Brave. So we have 3 more questions. One is from Yvonne, our team member, but I suggest we start with the member. So Lisa Lotte from Nazava is saying that this is a very interesting approach, but she's asking if you've considered applying for interest-free KIFA loans for the agents already.
Mm-hmm.
Have you looked at KIFA as a lender?
Yeah, absolutely. So we have had many discussions with Kiva over the years, and we're exploring how we could work together in Uganda previously, but it just, at the time, just wasn't suitable for the levels of support we needed, and yeah, we just couldn't make it work, and that's been our experience with people like Kiva and different institutions like microfinance institution and all these different guys. It just doesn't quite work for the level of funding, etc., and the access for our agents as well that we would require. That's why we've done it ourselves, and particularly in Malawi, the reason for still having interest, and I guess you could say for the agents to actually buy in themselves, is because we're building something bigger than, say, just the individual agent getting a loan, repaying, and then their business is built. We're building an actual institution, I guess not officially, but we're building a SACCO which will continue to grow and grow, where the agents themselves, like Brave explained earlier, these are the super agents that are inputting 40% of the capital needed, and then external funding is putting in, which would be Lend with Care, will be putting in 60% of the capital required. So the agents, by putting in the 40% they can afford, are firstly having ownership in the fund, but it's also by repaying the interest, which we know by analysing their financial performance, etc., that they can afford, and by also developing this model with them, something that they're more than happy to give, we can grow the SACCO for the members. Firstly, that gives you opportunity for more entrepreneurs, more agents to access FEBCO across the whole of Malawi. This is a national program we're launching here. So more agents are able to access the SACCO. But secondly, it gives the opportunity for annual dividends to be paid as members of the SACCO. And it also gives a potential investment opportunity for someone who, because it's not like I'm sat in London at the moment. I can't go and play the stock market or whatever those fancy things are. In Malawi, if you have a spare bit of capital, there's not much opportunity to invest, and this could also provide an opportunity to invest. So have considered the Kiva approach, but for the structure of successful entrepreneurs we have in Malawi, this was the most suitable. But it's also worth highlighting that we are, alongside this, also testing another financing model in Zambia, which will be launching around the same time, not with the GDC, but same sort of innovative approach, where we are looking potentially at interest-free loans. So we are doing both at the same time.
Right, thanks, Jamie. I hope that answers Lisa Lotte's question. Then we go to the next question. It's from Kiatsi Malonga. Are there any mechanisms that SolarAid Sunny and Money has in place to minimize loan defaults?
Come again with the question?
So the question is, how do you optimize or minimize the number of loan defaults among the entrepreneurs applying for loans?
All right, thank you. So first of all, as I said, what we're doing is we're starting this by building a business which is fully functional energy business, and Sunny Money is part and parcel of the setting up and implementation of this energy business in the district. And that's one way how we're going to minimize the loans is by Sunny Money being there, working with the agent from the time they get the loan, all the repayment processes and all that. So they'll be moving together with our team. Secondly, the loans that we're going to give to our agents, they will be tailor-made to a business plan that Sunny Money and that agent will put together to invest in the business. And the loans that they'll be getting from FEBCO will be specifically for solar products. So not be giving out cash to the entrepreneurs. They apply the loan to FEBCO, FEBCO processes the loan, approve it, that's the board of FEBCO approves the loans, and they pay Sunny Money to release stock to that agent, and that stock would be released based on the business plan that Sunny Money and the entrepreneur have agreed and has been approved by the FEBCO management team that it is risky, it's low risk business plan. And then that's when we put in money into that business. Mm-hmm. All the payments will be tracked using the Angaza platform. So the product that we'll be selling is the target, the products for these loans are the upscale products. So we're talking of home systems and other entry-level pay-as-you-go products. The reason why we're tying it to that system is to make sure that the FEBCO members, as well as Sunny Money, we have visibility of all the cash collected by the agents in the field, amount of money, hard cash that they have at a particular time, and making sure that they make the payments based on the payment plan that they have agreed with FEBCO. Failure to do so, then FEBCO will have the mandate to lock access or to block access of the agents to use the pay-as-you-go platform to make any more collections, and all the collections after that will be diverted into FEBCO's account to pay back the loan before we give access to that entrepreneur again. So technology is central to this to manage the default rates, but also it's the business, the whole business model of Sunny Money is to seed sustainable, scalable energy businesses which are operating more or less like independent of the entrepreneur himself. They have to operate as independent business. So that's what we're working with our entrepreneurs. And that's the reason also we have put in a request if there are more members who have the capacity to provide business management skills, so that we bring that skill into the agent so they should know that what they're doing is an investment, and investment comes with a cost and they have to pay that cost. So FEBCO members, Sunny Money, plus any other GDC members, including the adoption of the new technologies like the Angaza platform, plus Envision platform, all these will help keep close track of all the activities happening in the business, but also protecting it from going into the defaults.
Just two quick extra points on that as well, which is, so when we're talking about the loans from FEBCO to the agent, these agents are also members of FEBCO and have invested their own capital into FEBCO. So it is in their interest, as well as improving their business, but because it's also with 40% of the agents in their own capital, it's in their interest to also repay the whole loan as well. The secondary point to that is the agents, especially initially that we'll be launching FEBCO with our super agents, where we currently have, I can't remember, around 23 in Malawi. Brave can correct me on that. Ooh, almost. And we will have a maximum in the country to cover 100% of Malawi, around 41. Is that right, Brave?
Yes, that's right.
So these are agents that meet regularly, part of a network. So there is also a collective responsibility to pay back the loans. These are agents we know, trust, and work with as a collective, rather than administering loans to almost anyone.
Right, thanks. I hope that answers the question. So now we go to the last question that we have in the chat window, and I'd just like to ask people again. I mean, we still have enough time to take more questions in, but let's go to the one we have, which is about, I mean, you've already talked about some challenges you foresee running this FEBCO, but are there other anticipated challenges or risks when piloting this innovation? And I'd like to add a question to that. And again, it's about how maybe other GDC members could help you address these challenges or mitigate risks.
Brave, do you want to go first or me?
Yes, I can go in first. One of the challenges, or what should I say, the risks that we are looking at is the ongoing excitement from the market. I think there's a lot of players coming in now who see opportunity in energy business, and that has a potential of disturbing agent businesses. And yeah, we need to be prepared to see how best we can protect our entrepreneurs from that competition, so that it doesn't bring in some problems in terms of the cash collections from their customers and all that. Political risk as well is there, because there's kind of like a more of a political instability at the moment in the country. We don't know how long it will take, and also the motivation of the key political leaders in terms of pushing for renewable energy. It's not very far from now when we bought lots of diesel engines. We don't know how this will continue, and it has potential to disturb the whole market. But also, we don't know that lots of circles being developed now. Every institution, they're kind of pushing to develop their own circles. Of course, they're more of general circles providing individual loans. Ours is more unique, but still more, I think there's a risk that probably an agent might prefer or might join another circle and not necessarily continue being with us in long term. So those are some of the risks that we are foreseeing. The defaulters as well, as in the previous question, we see that as a risk. If the super agent business is not well developed and is not managed properly, there's a risk that it can go bankrupt, and then the whole money lose through that business. So, and then low skills of most of the agents in terms of business management is also another risk that is there. So we need to make sure that we are fully prepared with it. Thank you.
Right.
Jamie, you want to come in?
Right, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I suggest we, regarding, I mean, training on business skills, I suggest we link up on another activity that we have as the GDC, which is the training facility for small distributors. And if I'm correct, I mean, SolarAid Sunny Money is already taking part in that, is that correct?
I'm not sure.
Right. And if not, I mean, I suggest you you contact us to get more information on that. But what we're doing with this training facility activity is also to collect best practices from our community on how to train entrepreneurs in business skills, creating our own curriculum that then becomes available to the wider community. So please link up to find information about that. Yeah.
Great. And just an additional point from me on the what the potential challenges can be. So part of what we're doing here, which is, it's new to GDC, but it's also fairly new to SolarAid as well, is well, within reason, which is making sure that what we are developing here can be adopted by other GDC members, in different geographies with different different businesses, maybe with different products, not even solar products. So that's, I think, one area for sure where other members can feed in to support the development of something that can be replicated in different geographies for different products. Because we have very much so replicated our distribution model over 5-6 countries and different models. So we're used to doing it, but to do with finance and different entrepreneurs' needs, which is above and beyond our own, with different products that aren't just solar products, something where there could for sure be a loop of feedback which could be useful for us developing something which is replicable.
Sounds great. And I think that brings us to the last slide of today's webinar, which is an invitation to everyone in this call, but also an invitation to people outside this call as well. To send us an email if you'd like to, because you're keen to maybe information, or even better, if you have ideas to strengthen this innovation and how you could actively support SolarAid as they pilot the innovation, or find ways to work together. How SolarAid is interested in using the Envision app that we want by Invention for this pilot. So contact details. So reach out to my colleague Yvonne, as well as directly to SolarAid and Brave. This could be you.
Yeah.
All right. So here are the contact details. So yeah, send us an email if you'd like to have more information on this innovation, or if you'd like to be more actively involved. If you just like to get updates about what's happening in this innovation, I'm sure we'll be sharing updates through our regular newsletters. But there will also be more webinars coming up throughout the course of this project, this 18 months project where Brave talked about. And the next webinar will probably be in a few months once the FEBCO is up and running and SolarAid is ready to share maybe some insights about how it's going. So we'll send out an invitation again to the whole group, and we hope to see you then again. So thanks a lot for joining this webinar. Thanks to the Brave, and thanks Jamie as well for presenting this very interesting case. And best of luck with the next one.
Thanks a lot.
Thank you.
All right. Enjoy the rest of your day, everyone. Goodbye.
Bye.